So Job asked a question. Job asked why. If you look in the 24th chapter of Job, we're going to ask the Lord to reveal to each one of us why Job would ask these questions. And let's see if these questions are still being asked today. Job, the 24th chapter, it says, "Why does the Almighty open the court and bring judgment? Why must the ungodly wait for him in vain? Evil people steal land by moving the boundary markers. They steal flocks of sheep, and they even take donkeys from the poor and fatherless. A poor widow must surrender her valuable ox as collateral for a loan. The poor are kicked aside. The needy must hide together for safety." Verse 5, it says, "Like the wild donkeys in the desert, the poor must spend all of their time just getting enough to keep their body and soul together. They go into the desert to search for food for their children. They harvest a field they do not own, and they clean and glean in the vineyard of the wicked. The Almighty people of today is naked in the cold, without clothing or covering. They're all soaked by the mountain showers that they huddle against the rocks, for what they want is a home. The wicked snatch the widow's children from the breasts. They take the baby as a pledge for a loan. The poor must go about naked without their clothing. They are forced to carry food while they themselves are starving." So if you look at Job, this looks like a pretty desperate time. I mean, is it so much different than what we're going through now? And we may be asking the same question. I'm sure we are at some point. Now we look at the baby out there, baby Elliot. And he is just so warm and happy and content in his grandfather's arms. Isn't that a beautiful sight that we can see today? But you know, there's areas in this world that's not so lucky, not so blessed. It really is. I mean, I know we hear about, you know, what's going on in the rest of the world. And we'll pray, we'll think about it, we'll analyze it, you know, as far as, I know a lot of Christians analyze it, well, that just means we're one step closer to the Lord coming. Dude, we were one step closer last year. We were one step closer the year before. We're always going to be battling. We're one step closer. The question is what are we going to do? You know, and if our children grow up, they're going to be even one step closer. Let's go ahead and turn to John. John 1. Not John Williams, but John chapter 1. I found an interesting fact today. I didn't know John's middle name was William. Again, that didn't cost y'all anything. That's just knowledge. So if anyone ever asks you on Jeopardy when John becomes famous, okay, who started the Agape House blessing box? And they say John. Oh, but I can give you an extra $1 million if you can tell me his middle name. Now you can win that extra $1 million and spend all that money on another blessing box. Okay, so in John 1, verse 14, it says, "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen His glory, glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace and of truth." Full of grace and truth. And then we're going to read, you can't read that without reading John 3:16. It says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have eternal life." So let's break it down a little bit more. The Word became flesh. Jesus came down to earth to feel everything that we feel, to go through everything we go through. We needed more than just the law, and we needed more than just the Ten Commandments. We needed Jesus in the flesh. Job asked the questions, and here's the answer. Grace and truth. Grace people are defined kind and understanding, happy and go-lucky. The problems with God's grace people is that sometimes they lowered the standard of truth. Now listen to that. Sometimes the grace people, they sometimes lowered the standard of truth. However, the truth people, because we're talking about grace people, we're talking about truth people. Truth people speak the word and the truth. They will tell you how it is and will not apologize for it. They will slap you down and not even watch you hit the floor before they're praying over you. The problem with truth people is that they are so busy pointing out the truth and they forget that they will need the grace. So, Matt, go ahead and... So, this is what you need to write down, and this is what we really need to grasp. Grace without truth is meaningless. Okay? So you can have grace, but if you don't have truth, it means absolutely nothing. And truth without grace is just mean. But grace with truth is medicine. So if you're feeling bad, here's the perfect medicine. You don't have to go to CVS. You don't have to go to Walgreens. You don't have to go to the pharmacy at Walmart. If you're feeling under the weather, okay, now I can see it now. We're grown-ups. Let's act it when we're going to talk about this. Grace with truth is medicine. Makes you feel good. It heals what's ailing you. Forget taking a Tylenol. Forget taking NyQuil. Just try a little grace and truth in your life. Have you ever thought about this? I need you, each and every one of you, look at it this way. Have you ever seen your dad's father's father? Have you ever seen your dad's mother's mother? Can you tell me anything about them? Now look at this. We're looking at a couple of generations here. Gone. Not living. Just imagine when your grandchild, all right, will be asked, do they know anything about your dad's father's father? And what are they going to say? I bring this only to bring to you the fact your life matters now. Okay? It matters now. You're going to impact the people of this generation. How did your father's father influence your life? Indirectly, sure. But directly, you probably don't even remember his name. You don't remember his birthday. You don't remember if he went to church or if he didn't. You don't know what kind of car he drove or what kind of horse and buggy he had. The point is you don't know that much about that person. But they're very much a part of your family and the makeup of your family. So we are not here to touch thousands upon thousands. We're here to touch who's next to you. Who are you going to come in contact today? Who are you going to come in contact with tomorrow? We're going to be forgotten at one point. We're loved. We're very much important. But at one point in the future, we won't really matter. But God has said, yes, you do matter. I have gone to prepare a place for you. So yes, you matter. You stop mattering down here, only to be mattered up there. So Job, why do I keep saying Job? Job keeps asking, why? Why this? Why that? And it's questions that we ask on a daily basis, and we certainly ask in this time. But at what point will it not matter? The thing about it is Job, I don't know when the book of Job was written. I don't know when Job made this comment. But it's still relative today. So what you do today will still be relative in the future. So we look at it this way. I don't know what did your dad or your mom's mom, just go back as far as you can. Just look at something simple like the blessing box. All right, did they have a blessing box back then? No, what they had was a back door with a screen on it, and if you got hungry, come on in. Isn't that just wonderful? I mean, could you imagine going, let's say we're going to Sister Deborah's house. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for some apple pie. And Sister Deborah just happened to make one. Sarah, shh. Sister Deborah happened to make one. I don't have to go to a blessing box or anything like that. All I got to do is just make it to Buna. All right? Have a little visit, get some apple pie. That's a wonderful thought. And I would love to do that, Sister Deborah, not dropping any hints there. But we forget how simple life can be. We had two strangers today that I saw personally. Can't tell you who they are. Can't tell you where they live. I can tell you what they drove. And I couldn't even tell you everything that they got, but by inventory, we know now what they got. But we're touching people. People that we don't know. People we may never even see again. Just drove by, turned back around, and got something out of the blessing box. They didn't get everything, did they, Brother John? They just got, and this is what Sis said, they got just what they needed. Simple wooden box, not air conditioned, not even ant proof. But isn't that just how God works? A simple wooden box with a see-through door that helped someone. Didn't save their lives. Didn't keep them from anything. Just a simple wooden box met a need. If a wooden box can do that to two strangers that you never met, that you don't know, and you will probably never see again, can you imagine God made you. And what kind of difference can you make? A breathing, living soul. One that has compassion. One that can love. One that can hate. One that can choose life and one that can choose death. The impact that you can make on today's generation is amazing. Job may ask the question, why are all these bad things happening? Why isn't God judging it right now? Because God is worried about, let me rephrase that, God is more concerned about winning souls and focusing on the positive for people's lives than the negative. Because if he was in a big hurry for judgment, we better watch out. We better be glad he's not in the mode or the mood for judgment right now. But yet he is. But I think you know what I'm saying. We're in a period where we can impact so many. Suck it up. Put those boots on. Even Tim would have to wear boots. It just amazes me whenever I thought about my dad's father's father. I've only heard of my dad's father's father. I think we've even seen him whenever I was very young. And this is a man that, correct me if I'm wrong because I don't want to mislead anyone, but they used to bury batteries in the ground. All right. And that was their electricity whenever they wanted it. They didn't use it all the time. I'm not even sure, did they even have inside plumbing? I don't remember going outside, but hey, maybe. Yeah. Oh well. But whenever I look what's going to be important for me, I look at my son and I look at my grandchildren. And I want them to remember me. I want them to remember that I was an honest, hardworking, loving, godly person. Not very hard when I've lived 55 years to produce. But there are kids out there that remember, I didn't have a father. My father was never around. My father was a drug head. My father never worked. My father was never there. My father was an alcoholic. But you know what? I don't care what my father was. I'm going to rise above that. I'm going to be someone. I'm going to be, for the next generation, I'm going to be that father that was there, that worked hard, that loved hard, was a friend for everyone. So, when we look at today, as we look at this message, let's remember that grace without truth is meaningless. So Sister Deborah can have all the grace, but if she doesn't have the truth, it's meaningless. And John William can have all the truth, but without grace, just mean. But if somehow they can get grace and truth, the healing process begins. It begins with that thing that makes us sicker than anything, unforgiveness. We all have it. We all use it. We don't like to admit that we have it. We may even keep it underneath our floorboard in our car. We may even keep it underneath our bed at home, or hidden away in a closet, or hidden away in our shop. But you know what the Word says. It says, anything in the dark, I will bring to the light. I would rather deal with what I'm trying to hide now, as much as it's uncomfortable and as painful and as embarrassing it can be, than to get up here behind the pulpit, tell you one thing, and then something like that comes to light. I've done things in the past not proud of, embarrassed of, but you know what? I thank God every day that I have someone like Sister Deborah, my sister, John, Tim, all of y'all, that if it had to be told, I could tell you. And there won't be any judgment. There won't be any condemnation. It may be difficult for you to understand. But I think God lives in every one of your heart. And if you let God show you, then you will understand the mercy, the grace, and truth that God has. And that healing process can start. Believe it or not, sis, I'm not perfect. I have never met that person that was perfect. My wife wasn't perfect. My son's not perfect. My daughter's not perfect. Heck, this is hard for a grandparent to say. My granddaughter are not perfect. So if I don't have that grace and truth every day, then I can't begin to heal. But you know what? To be honest with you, do we need the healing? We do to a certain extent, but the world needs it a lot more than we do. We know how to get it. We know how to get the truth, and we know how to get the grace. We may not fully have them combined together yet, but we're working on it. But you got to understand, the world doesn't even have grace or truth yet. So remember that. When you're at Walmart, when you're at Kmart, especially with the Christmas holidays coming. So Job asked some interesting questions on why. But let's not get so involved on why and get more involved in getting that grace and truth out there. Can we do that? It's not that difficult, is it? I mean, it really isn't. I mean, it's two simple words. It's grace and it's truth. And it can solve the biggest cancer Christians have, and that's unforgiveness. So what if your husband didn't mow the yard? It's okay. So what if your wife hasn't cooked in a month? It's okay. So what if Sister Smith hurt your feelings? So what if Brother Robert told you the truth and you were so immature you couldn't understand it? That was supposed to get y'all to laugh. Apparently it didn't. I know. But as I keep reading the Bible, as I keep studying the Word, I find out, and I'm not sure who said it, if it was Sister Deborah or Jeanette did in one of her songs, but His ways are much higher than ours. I think sometimes I try to understand God and I come out dumber than when I started. Love people. Simple message. Show them compassion. Show them understanding. But you can't do it without grace and truth. You just can't. Now look. Sis and John are going on a small little vacation. Well deserved. And anybody that's been in the ministry will know any time away from God's people is a vacation. God's people can be draining. God's people can be high maintenance. And if you're getting mad at me at that statement, okay. But anyways, they have an opportunity to meet thousands of people. Okay? Some will speak English. A lot won't. But you get to make an impact on someone's life that you never met before and you will never meet again, except when you get to heaven. So what do you want to leave in their memory, in their mind? I mean, it may be the person that's assigned to your room that you're going to see every day, either in the hall or actually in your room. What kind of impact are you going to make in their lives? And Brother Bill, as you go to work, and Sarah, as you get around and everything, and Tim, as you go around, and Chris, as you go around, and Robert, as you go around, what kind of influence are you going to make in their lives? Are you going to leave an impact like Job was asking? Why? Or are they going to see you as a bottle of NyQuil in the medicine? Now, let's be honest with you. I don't know who's all been on a cruise or not. Okay? But if you haven't, it's really fun. All right? It truly is. You get to meet interesting people. You get to do something 24 hours a day practically. All right? You get to see sin. You get to get tempted by sin and all that. And I say that jokingly, but I want you to understand there's a lot of opportunities out there, one way or the other. But I think most of us would like to make a positive impact on people's lives. And it's hard to do that when you're completely wasted. It's kind of hard to do that if you only stay in the casino. And it's kind of hard to do that if you lay by the pool all day. Because I've seen a lot of couples, and I've seen a lot of people just stay to themselves. And I'm not, if you're that way, that's great. But you're missing God's opportunity, all right, to give someone medicine that they need. So I want y'all to remain on vacation and have a good time. All right? But God never sleeps. Your ministry never sleeps. God's kingdom needs to grow. Okay. Baby's up, and in Sister Deborah's hand, y'all stand. You know, today is a great day. What is it, 75 degrees outside, maybe 80 by the time we get out, but the sun's shining. I don't think there was any rain, but maybe 4%. And just think, by the end of today, there will be about 69,500,000 cars produced. there will be about 126 million bicycles produced this year. So can you imagine if the bicycle companies can do that and the car companies can do that, what can we as Christians do today? Yes, Elliot, we can. We can throw a fit. We can show our joyfulness, our happiness, our excitement. We can look on Brother Bill's shirt and see the drilling stains and everything and be happy that I was part of that. Because it just started real small and now it's really big. And with the air conditioner on, it's probably a little cold. But it's the little things in life. Remember that. All right. Sister Jeanette, didn't I ask you to pray last week?
The Keel.